assistant in the development of youth policies. Mr. Rattray is also the former president of the National Secondary Students Council, which represents over 162 schools across Jamaica, which is some 300,000 students, and presently holds the position of the president of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, the governing body for all tertiary institutions across Jamaica. Mr. Rattray is the recipient of several distinguished awards and has been recognized for his impactful contributions to the development of youth and the nation at large. Among his most esteemed accomplishments are his receipt of the Governor General Award for Excellence in Leadership and Community Development, as well as being the youngest of 6 nominees for the Prime Minister Youth Award for Leadership in 2018, for which he eventually was the 2020 recipient of the Prime Minister Youth Awardee for Leadership. He has also received the PFC Golden Senior Youth Leader Award for 2015 and is now one of the selected Rougeon Foundation Scholars, receiving the Andre Bachelor Outstanding Leadership and Academic Performance Scholarship. Along with his academic accolades, stand impressive, so is his business accomplishments. Everton is the CEO of Corporate Shuttles Jamaica, a private transportation company, which I'm sure some of you have heard about, and is the owner and manager of Phoenix Cafe, which operates here at UA Mona campus. He is also the owner of Sound Gear Audio and Lighting Services based in Kingston. Mr. Everton Rattray is a rounded individual, as you can see. He has leadership qualities from he was young. He business ownership as well. He is someone who strives for excellence in all areas of life. So I'm really looking forward to hearing and seeing Mr. Rattray's presentation today. So Mr. Rattray, are you here? I think yes.
I'm not sure if you're seeing me. Or are you seeing me now?
Yeah, we're seeing you clear, man, Mr. Rattray.
All right, so thank you very much for having me, Anderson. In particular, James would have been the one who extended the invitation. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all seeing and hearing. If you are, we're just going to have a very live discussion, and I'm not going to make it very long because I'm very mindful of time. Discussion is going to be about 30 minutes, and it's centered around leadership, all right? So if you're hearing me, just give me a thumbs up or just unmute and say hearing so we just can get a, so we know where we are.
Yes, sir, we're hearing you. We're hearing you, sir.
All right, awesome. So we are about 4 persons so far, but I see a lot of other persons here. I'm not sure they're hearing. All right, awesome. So we're seeing that it's coming in. I think feel free as well to open your microphone and join the discussion. And just, as I said to you guys, it's really going to be a very important discussion, right? And I don't intend to be very long. It's about 30 minutes. And I want your undivided attention for the next 30 minutes because I do believe what I'm going to share with you has the potential to be very impactful with how you continue university life or even just how you go into your life in general. I'm just 24. I'm no different from anybody here. I'm sure some of you guys are probably just in the 20s or even 24, just the same, right? We're all in the same age group. But I've learned some very key things that have helped me to move along the journey of leadership that has helped me to achieve some things that I would say are very impactful, right? And I want to share those things with you tonight. And if you're here, I want you to take a little pencil and a paper, and I'm going to share these things with you. Or if not, you can use your laptop and just write on your notepad because it's very important. And I know I'm stressing very important, but I'm telling you, these are the things that are going to help you, right? Now, I'm not going to go over all the things that would have been said by Anderson in terms of accomplishments. I'm very grateful to have received the Prime Minister Award and the Governor General Achievements Award and all the different awards. But more than the awards, I can tell you, there's some things that I've learned very early that I continue to practice every single day. And those are the things that gives me all of these accomplishments. But I don't strive for accomplishments. And I want you to know that I don't strive for the accomplishments. I strive to have a meaningful life. And we'll get into all of that. All right. So I'm going to try to pull up a presentation. If Anderson, if you could allow me to do so, I'd appreciate that.
No problem. Angel, could you allow Mr. Rattray? She should be giving you permission anytime now.
Okay, I think you can share a screen now.
Awesome.
Right, thanks, right. Angel. Yeah.
No problem.
Give me a second, let me. right, so you should be seeing the presentation anytime now. Share screen. All right, so tell me if you're seeing the presentation.
All right, nice. I'm seeing. So, yeah.
All right, awesome.
All right.
Are you seeing a full screen or how are you seeing it? Are you seeing it in the presenter mood or what mood are you seeing it in?
It's in presenter mode at the moment.
Let me just put it on. All right.
Okay,
So,
that's full screen now, yeah.
Yeah, man. So I just thought you wouldn't have shown. All right, so guys. All right, so I'm a button actually, as mentioned before. I just completed my degree in economics and mathematics at the University of the West Indies. Today, I'm going to share with you guys, as I mentioned, some very important principles. And I've structured this presentation in 3 parts. The first question I'm going to ask is, what is leadership? And the other things that I'm going to share is I'm going to share with you 11 principles or laws that I've learned at a very early stage in my leadership journey that have helped me to develop my leadership, that have helped me to become the person who I am today. And those are the laws that I'm going to share with you. And if you practice these laws, if you try to implement these things as you go on your journey, I'm telling you today, they're going to help you a lot. I just completed my degree and I tell you, I own a cafe in the University of the West Indies. I've mentioned, I own 3 different businesses that are all making revenue, that are all bringing in an income. And I say that to you because I learned these things. And if you learn these same things, as I mentioned, these are going to make your life easier, especially as you lead and you continue your journey, right? So I've broken it down into 2 parts. But before I get into the 2 parts, what is leadership, right? And I'm just giving you my basic understanding of it. In my eyes, leadership is the ability to influence a group of persons towards achieving a common goal. That is my idea. It's the ability to influence a group of persons to achieve a common goal. That is what leadership is. So if you guys want, if a group of you guys want to cut down a tree, it is your ability to influence a group of those persons to all play a part in cutting down the tree. If all of you guys want us to sell 50 do-rags and it's 3 of you guys, it's a group of you guys deciding how you're going to achieve that goal of selling 50 do-rags. It is the ability of one individual to empower a group or motivate a group of persons to achieve one common goal. That is the ability that is what leadership is, right? But as I mentioned, there are some laws that will definitely help you on this leadership journey. And these are the laws that I want to share with you tonight. And I'm going to go to the first one. The first one is the law of the lid. Hope you're writing it down. I know I can't see all of you guys' faces, but I'm telling you, write them down because you're going to benefit from them at a later point. What is the law of the lid? And it says leadership ability is based on where you are at as a person. Now, let me tell you this. You can't be leading at a 5 and expect that the people who are following you are going to be at an 8. You can't be leading at a 5 and expect that your leadership ability will be reflected as somebody who is excellent at leadership. So what I'm trying to say to you is that if you don't grow and develop yourself as a leader, then you can't expect to be able to influence a group of persons as you'd want to. For example, one of the things that I knew from a very early age is that I wanted to do very well at leadership because in my eyes, leadership was going to be my golden ticket in order to, my leadership would take me places if I would look at it that way, in the sense that I had very strong leadership abilities, but it didn't just come overnight. One of the things that I did a lot of is that I read a lot of books centered around leadership. I read a lot of books centered around leadership, such as John Maxwell, T.D. Jakes, Les Brown. A lot of those books are centered around empowerment and leadership. And why I share that with you? Because those same books are what helped me to be better as a person. For example, one of the books that I read was the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. And you can check it out if you want. And he shared 21 principles. In fact, some of these principles are from the actual John Maxwell teachings. And it was at that level I learned that, you know what, if I improve myself as a leader, then actually I am able to be much more effective in my leadership because I learn better tools and techniques on how to do things. So the first law is the law of the lid. Your leadership ability is based on where you are at as a person. So if you're leading at a 5, it means that you need to improve yourself so that you can get as close as possible to lead at the best level or at your best capabilities, right? So between that 5 and the maximum might mean that you need to improve on your public speaking. It might mean that you need to learn how teamwork actually, how do you actually motivate a team? It might mean that you need to learn how to actually communicate to people who have different personalities, right? So there are some things that are affecting you from reaching your full capability in your leadership journey. And that's what I'm saying to you. So if you're at a 5 right now, you need to be very honest with yourself. You need to ask yourself, if on a scale of 1 to 10, how good am I or what level am I on as a leader? Am I at a 6 right now? And when you ask yourself and be very honest with yourself, the next thing you have to ask yourself is, where do you want to go with your leadership journey? Do you want to be the best version of yourself? Do you want to reach to the maximum capability of your leadership? And when you ask yourself that question, then you know what you need to do. Because if you're at a 5 and you want to get to a 10 at the maximum level, you know what are some of the things that are holding you back. You might be shy. You might not like to speak in public. So there are a lot of things that you need to ask yourself. And sometimes nothing is wrong with these things. But you have to ask yourself and realize what are the things that sometimes holding you back. Because I can tell you something, I was a very shy young man at one point. But I learned something when I was going to Kingston College. I had to join the debating society because I said to myself, I want to be a better public speaker. And I joined the debating society. And when I joined the debating society, I had to learn how to improve my speaking. And in the process of improving my speaking, I was better able to communicate with others. So you're here at UWI, you might know that you want to improve your speaking. Join the Debating and Public Speaking Society of the University of the West Indies. Because the reality is this, as a university student, the purpose of being here right now is to improve yourself, is to grow yourself, that when you leave the university space, you're fully equipped and able to function in whatever society, whatever place you go. You're able to speak well, you're able to articulate yourself and express what you think, how you think something could have been done. That is the purpose of you being at university, to maximize on your development. So that is the first law. Now, the second law is the law, I label it as number 3, my apology. The second law is the law of process. One of the things that I oftentimes find with young people is that they get very frustrated when they feel like they're not achieving the things that they want. You feel like you're at this point and you should have been way further ahead. Let me tell you something. And this is a leadership workshop. You have to learn how to appreciate process. And it says leaders develop daily, not within a day. It means you have to understand that you won't get everything right overnight. It simply means you can't get everything perfect. You're not going to be the perfect leader when you join the first club in your life. When you get the first leadership role in university, it's not going to be that way. You have to understand that it's a process and you grow over time. The way you're leading now at university, at 3 or 4 years, because of your involvement in these clubs and society, you're going to be a much better student leader or leader in wherever you go. And it's very important to understand that. Appreciate the process, because the process is what is going to allow you to evolve and be a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. And I know this might sound lame or whatever, but let me tell you, I really want to stress these things. And I have right here developing the ability to speak. That's one of the things I was very frustrated about, because I never knew how to articulate myself very well. And I mentioned it earlier in the first pointer. I'm telling you, I had to learn how to go to debating society every week. And every week while I go, I would sit at the back because I was very shy of speaking. But over time, I started to volunteer myself to do a little one debate, or I might ask to do a little 1 minute, 3 minutes presentation, and I'd get some corrections and I'd learn and I'd improve until I reached a point where they recommended me to be a part of the debating team. When they recommended me to be a part of the debating team, it means I got a better chance to continue to develop my speaking ability. Today, I can tell you, I am willing to go up front in any crowd and to speak freely because I've learned over a long period of time. And that's what I'm telling you. Appreciate the process. Your process might not be the speaking engagement. Your process might be that you're having it very difficult to solve certain math problems. Your difficulty might mean that you're finding it very difficult to work with the team that you're currently working with. Appreciate the process, because every difficulty that you're facing is helping you to learn something that you weren't going to learn otherwise. Your difficulties help you, right? So I just want to share with you to learn to appreciate the process, right? And this should have been law number 2, and it's the law of navigation. Now, sometimes we want certain things in life, but we don't know how to get it. And let me give you a very practical example. Sometimes, for example, you might want to get to, for example, let's say KFC, wherever you are, wherever you're living, right? You want to get to KFC. Let's say you want to get some chicken, right, at KFC. And the road that you'd normally take to KFC is blocked. The way you want to get to KFC is blocked, right? So the reality exists that you can't get to your destination using that direction. What the law of navigation speaks to is the ability to realize that if one way is blocked, there's always another way to get to the destination. You might want to complete a degree in 3 years, but you had hiccups and you had to do it in 4 years. You might have thought that you thought that you probably would have gotten a scholarship and the scholarship would have helped you to complete it, but you didn't get the scholarship. So you have to you have to use student loan. The reality is that in any area of your life, there are going to be situations where the direction that you want to travel is blocked and you can't get to your destination using that direction. There's always another way. And the essence is that there's always another way to get to KFC. Just the same, there's always another way to get what you want out of life. And it's not always the way that you want to get it. And in the context of leadership, the law of navigation speaks to your ability to realize that there are things that you want to achieve as a leader or a member of a leadership team. And in order to achieve those things, you have to realize that sometimes the way you want to get it done, you might not be able to do it because a team member on the team might be very difficult and that person is trying to make things even harder for you. And you might have to find another way. You might have to be able to link another person on the team and say, hey, you know, I wanted to do this idea, but I'm not able to get through with this person with the idea. So I'm asking if you could help me to try to see how we can navigate things, right? So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Understand the value of navigation. You have to try to find another way to get the things that you want, because sometimes the way that you want to get it is blocked. So, right, so that's the third one on the laws of leadership. Now, the fourth law is the law of addition. Now, this is directly pertaining to leadership, and I want you to understand this. It says, leaders add value by serving others. Leaders add value by serving others. Leadership is service. Let me put it that way. If you want to get involved in leadership, it is service. It takes great sacrifice, and we speak about great sacrifice at a later date, but it's not selfish. You can't do things, you can't get involved in leadership for any self-serving reasons. If you're going to get involved in leadership, it must be because you want to help the others. No, I'm not saying to you that you're not going to help yourself in the process, but the need to help others must be bigger than the need to help yourself, because if the need to help others is not bigger than the need to help yourself, there are a lot of times when it's going to get difficult, and the difficulty is going to prevent you from continuing on that journey. So, for example, one of the things for me from a very early age, what I did was I just got involved. I joined a lot of clubs and societies. You know, I was very involved, and I just, you know, I volunteered whenever there was a little club event or whatever might have been the case, and I got involved. And through involvement, I started to serve others. I realized the value in serving others, and that's what I'm saying to you. Get involved. If you're here today, get involved. If there's something you want to learn, you want to play a sport, try it. Get involved. And in your involvement, try to help others in that process. Because there's so many things that can happen for you. And I say that to you because when I started university, I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. But because of my involvement, I got a scholarship to attend university. And it was a leadership scholarship because my involvement. And I'm trying to say that to you so you can understand. When you add value to people, when you help others, others will help you. I think there's a saying that says, the more people you're able to help, the more meaningful your life become, right? When you attach yourself to something bigger than yourself, the more meaningful your life becomes. Because I've found more meaning in being a part of certain clubs and societies when I know that I'm helping to make somebody's life easier. For example, being the president of the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students is the governing body for all tertiary institutions in Jamaica. It helps me to be able to help others, students who are having situation with work and travel, students who are having situation with their institutions who are being unfair towards them. It helps me to make something more meaningful of my life. So I want to tell you to get involved. Now, the next thing is the law of magnetism. And I'm trying to move as fast as possible. If you're hearing me, just let me know. Could you see, get a thumbs up so we know that you're all here still? You know, I'm only seeing one. Anybody else here with me? Okay. All right. So, okay, great. Awesome. All right. So you guys are here with me. And I don't want to keep talking, guys, but I just want to share these very valuable tips with you guys so that you can also be on that journey or continue on your leadership journey, right? All right, so we're going to move on. I hope you're all writing as well and you're getting down these laws, right? The next law is the law of magnetism. And I hope you have written it down. The law of magnetism. The law of magnetism states that who you are is who you attract. And I want to be very straight. If you're a lazy person, you're going to attract lazy people around you. If you're a student leader or if you're a person who don't like to do what you say you're going to do, you're going to attract people who don't want to do what they say they're going to do around you. And I say that because I want you to understand this. If you don't, and it goes back to law number 1, if you don't try to improve yourself as an individual, then the people you attract around you are going to be just the same. No, nothing is wrong with being lazy and all that, but I'm just saying to you, if you want to achieve certain things in life, there are certain things that you have to get rid of. And I'm going to speak about it at a later date, which is the law of sacrifice. And I just want to remind you that the law of magnetism speaks to who you are is who you attract. So if you're a kind of person who produces positive energy all the time, you're going to attract a lot of positive people around you. If you're the kind of person who speaks a lot about money and trying to find financial advice and stuff and ways to make business, you're going to attract a lot of business people because you're going to naturally be gravitating towards those kind of people, right? So I just wanted to tell you about the law of magnetism. And you have to be very careful of who you attract to yourself because sometimes the closest people to you have the ability to really shape who you are as well. So that is why you need to be mindful of who you attract and how you attract these people towards you, right? Now, the next law, which is the law number 6, but it's still law number 5, and which is the last law in this section before we move to the laws of teamwork, is the law of sacrifice. And I know this is a leadership development workshop, and I'm trying to mix it with leadership with your personal self. And why is that so important? Because a leader who understands themselves, who knows who they are, is better able to help others, to serve others. And I'm going to the law of sacrifice, which is the 6th law, even though it's saying number 5. And the law of sacrificing, a leader must give up to go up. If you want to go up if you want to grow in your leadership, there's certain things that you have to sacrifice, as it is said. Sometimes it might mean that you need more time commitment. It might mean that you have to spend more time getting involved in meetings. You might have to spend more time developing your public speaking skills. It might mean that you have to spend more time planning and executing activities because sometimes the more you grow in an organization, the more responsibilities you get. And with responsibility comes great sacrifice. And I know nothing I'm saying is new to you, but I just want to remind you tonight. And sacrifice is not just with the leadership, it's also with your personal life. You're here at university, you're making a sacrifice to get your degree. And the purpose of being at university is so that you can make a better person in society, so that you can, at the end of it, come out and get a nice job or whatever might be the case, that you can make your life more meaningful to society. And that is why you're here at university. You're making that sacrifice away from your family and constantly studying night after night and preparing yourself for exams. You're making that sacrifice for yourself. But there are a lot of other sacrifices that you need to also make. And I want to remind you tonight, some of those sacrifices that you need to make. For example, you need to figure out who you want to be in life and try to find that. Now, at the same time, and I just want to put this forward, for example, now you're preparing yourself, you're doing all these studies, you ask yourself, why am I really studying? Like, why am I really doing all these studies? And it's really a question I want you to ask you, right? It's a little bit outside of the sacrifice law, but why are you doing this? It's very important that you actually know why you're actually doing all this studying. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know why you're doing all this studying, you're going to find that you have done 3 or 4 years and it's meaningless to you. I feel like you must be able to justify why you're doing all these things. All right. So for example, I am studying economics because I want to be one of the most influential business person in my society. And I really do mean that, which is also why I've started the Les Robinson Hall Cafe, which is why I've also started Corporate Churches Jamaica. And I really do mean that I want to be one of the most influential business persons in my society. And I say that to you is, why are you studying economics? Why are you studying mathematics? Why are you studying whatever you study? Ask yourself, why are you studying that? And when you ask yourself that question, I really want you to try to answer it. Don't just say, I just plan to get a job. No, like ask yourself why. And when you find the meaning and the reason why you're doing it, try to strive towards getting that thing. All right. Now, I'm going to wrap up probably in the next 10 minutes or so. I say, Anderson, I hope Anderson paying attention,
I'm making notes, man. Don't worry.
All right. So we're going to the second part of the presentation, guys, and it's just 5 laws that are here, and it's the law of teamwork. And I'm specifically going to mention these things, guys, because sometimes working with teams can be very difficult. And there are some very important things that you must know when working with teams. So the laws of leadership were more so for yourself. Those are not the only laws, but those are some of the laws that I pick out that I thought would be very good for you to also learn about and really understand. The other laws that I'm going to speak about now, as I mentioned, are the laws of teamwork. Things that are very important that you pay attention to when working in teams. And why are laws so important? The concept of laws in itself means that there are guidelines. If you break them, there are oftentimes consequences. For example, killing somebody is murder, and murdering somebody is a criminal offense, or what it might be the case, right? So basically you're breaking the law that thou shalt not kill. And therefore there are consequences. You go to prison. If you don't shower, you're breaking the law that you need to shower to keep yourself fresh, which means you're going to smell very bad and make yourself very, if you understand what I'm saying to you. Just the same, there are laws that if you break them, there are consequences in life. And if you want to get involved in leadership, teamwork is very important. And there are laws for teamwork that you must understand. And if you break these laws for teamwork, then your leadership within a team becomes much more difficult, if that makes sense to you. So we're going to look at those 5 laws very quickly. And it's the law of significance. And it says, people try to achieve great things by themselves mainly because of the size of their ego, their level of insecurity, or simple naivety and temperament. One is too small a number to achieve greatness. Now I just want to stress that last part. One is too small a number to achieve greatness. And it says people try to achieve great things by themselves because of their ego. Or the basic essence of this law is that if you want to achieve anything great in life, within a group. You can't do it by yourself. You have to take your ego out of it, and you have to understand that you can't do it by yourself. The team effort is very important in achieving anything great. Anderson by himself can't complete or make the entire executive excellent, because Anderson can only do so much by himself. There are realities that when you have a team where everybody is doing what they're supposed to do and there's the unity in the team, and you're not trying to be selfish and trying to do everything by yourself and not involving others, I'm telling you, the impact that you will have as a team will be much greater. And as you continue on your life, I'm not talking about just here. Some of you guys are going to go into the world and you're going to have to work with teams, because working with teams is natural. It's a part of life. I'm telling you, don't be too selfish on those teams. And I say too selfish, meaning that everything you try to do for yourself, there might be some things that you do for yourself, because you doing it by yourself might actually help the team. But there's some things that require teamwork that you engage the members of the team with, and try to do that. Second law, we're moving on very quickly because I want to not keep the time running so much. All right, the law of the niche. It says all players have a place where they add the most value. Essentially, when the right team members in the right place, everyone benefits. Now, I know you have been a part of teams where you know that there is somebody who was very bad at doing their job. The essence is this, guys. Sometimes there are people who you might think they're very bad at doing one particular thing, but they might be really good at doing something else. For example, I'm not the best chef, but if you put me in a group of student leaders, I have the ability to unite the team. I have the ability to know the different personalities and know how to bring them together and achieve a common goal. So my strength is leadership. When the other person's strength might be social media, you have to learn how to place people where their strengths are. And that's the essence of this. In a team, you have to be able to assess persons. All right, you notice that's the more outgoing person on the team. That might be the person to put forward to do all the speaking or whatever might be the case. You notice this person might be really good at typing and writing and creating documents and organizing things. You know, that person might be the best person to have as the secretary or the communications director. Well, more so the secretary or being a part of the secretariat. You know, somebody's really good at creating graphics and content. You know, that person might be the best person for being the graphic designer or the PRO in that context, if you want the graphic designer. I'm saying to you guys, you have to be able to assess, and you're a part of a team, and I'm sure you're going to lead a team or you are leading a team. The ability to recognize persons' strong points are very important, because when you have people playing where their strengths are, it makes a team way stronger. And I'm speaking about the laws of teamwork in the context of leadership, right? Now, the next law is the law of Mount Everest. And it says, as the challenges escalates, the need for teamwork elevates. As the challenges escalates, the need for teamwork elevates. Guys, as you go through, for example, even this COVID time, the challenge that you would have as in terms of leadership has become much more difficult. You now have to interact online. You now have to stay in connections through social media. It has become much more difficult to lead because you're no longer seeing everybody in person. You're able to communicate in person and to create that personal bond. And this is an example of Mount Everest, when the challenges become more difficult. And the law of Mount Everest states that as the challenges escalate, the need for teamwork elevates. It means that no more than ever in this crisis, you guys have to be more united as a team, because it becomes more difficult to lead. It becomes more difficult to stay connected with all your friends. So the essence of the law of Mount Everest is that you have to try to be more united as a team as the challenges get harder in whatever area of your life, especially as it pertains to the context of leadership, which we are doing this workshop in. All right. The third to last law is the law of the bad apple. And it says, rotten attitudes ruin a team. The first place to start is with yourself. Yourself is disjoined there by mistake, right? Rotten attitudes ruin a team. The first place to start is with yourself. Now, I know for sure that some of you guys are here and you know somebody who have a very bad attitude, the kind of attitude that just make everything more difficult for the team. Sometimes you just prefer that person don't come to the meeting. Sometimes you just prefer that person just don't show up. You guys have to try to be very mindful of these persons as you continue on your leadership journey. Sometimes the best approach might not be to cut them out, but you have to know who are the bad apples on the team. And it's not just about labeling persons, but you have to know, because sometimes one bad apple can spoil, I'm sure you know what the last word is, spoil the bunch. One bad apple can spoil the bunch, because that person will infect all the others with their negative attitude. And I say that to you so that you can be mindful. Whenever you're on any team, try to identify the persons with the bad attitudes. The attitudes that just make it more difficult. Whenever anything is put forward, whenever the team suggests a good idea, they're always shutting it down. Whenever the team is trying to make any progress in towards doing something meaningful, they're always shutting it down. I'm saying to you, try to be mindful of these persons. And if you can get them out of the team, that would be good. But also if you can try to help these persons from the system, from continuing with those bad attitudes, it will definitely help the team. And the second to last law is the law of the price tag. And just as though I spoke about the law of sacrifice as it pertains to you making a deliberate or direct sacrifice, the law of the price tag is a sacrifice for the team. And it says the team fails to reach its potential when it fails to pay the price. Sacrifice, time, commitment, personal development, unselfishness as part of the price we pay for team success. In essence, it's saying to you guys that there is a price tag that you have to pay as a team in order to achieve anything great. And if you want to achieve certain things as a team, you have to know what is going to be the price that you have to pay in terms of sacrificing of time, in terms of the development, the self-development that is needed, in terms of the unselfishness that is required in order to be an effective team. You have to develop as a team and know what is needed. Because working with a team is different from working with yourself. When you're on teams, as I mentioned before, different personalities, certain things that you see might offend people in a particular way. You have to know these things. And being unselfish, you try to understand that person. You try to understand why it offends that person. And that sacrifice you won't have to make with yourself, because you're not going to be able to offend yourself in that regards by yourself. But when you're working with a team, there are different personalities and you have to understand team dynamics, how to work in groups, how to do things, what are the sacrifices. Some persons have to stay back to make sure that certain things are done for the next day for the event. Whatever might be the team, you have to know the price tag that is going to be required. And it's very important that you try to figure out the price tag at the starting of your tenure. Whenever you're joining any leadership group, try to understand what is going to require of you. A few sleepless nights, a few nights of meetings, a few projects or programs that you have to get involved with, a few partnerships. Try to understand what is a sacrifice. And the last thing, my apology. That was the last law that I wanted to share. I think though that I'll just say this before I share. The last thing I didn't involve it, and this is the thing. I want you to ask yourself as you continue your leadership journey, whenever you join any team or any group, ask yourself, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? I really want you to think about this. What is the legacy that I want to leave behind when I leave the UMONA Community and Students Committee? What is the legacy that I want to leave behind when I leave the debating society? What is the legacy I want to leave behind when I leave this club or society? Whatever it is you're a part of, it is very important that you leave a legacy behind, something that will make the lives of those who are going after you easier. Very important. I want you to think about it with every organization that you join or every program that you become a part of. All right. Again, thank you very much for having me, guys. I hope this session was very meaningful, and I hope these things will definitely help you as you continue on your leadership journey. Leadership is very important. We have a situation where the more you show yourself as a student leader or a leader in general in life, the more opportunities are presented to you. Because naturally, the hierarchy of society requires that we look at persons who are willing to lead and we put them forward. That is life. The persons who we believe are the strongest persons to lead in a particular era, we naturally elect those persons to do the job. And it's important that you develop yourself because you will help your society and you make life for others easier. All right. Thanks again for having me, guys.
All right, Mr. Ratcher, that was, I must say, one of the more comprehensive but concise presentations I've been a part of. And as you can see, a lot of people in the comments leaving very good comments. Yeah, it was very good in that a lot of information was passed and information on how what it takes to the steps of becoming a leader. Is not just, it just doesn't come like that. You need to self-assess. And also importantly nowadays, like even during the COVID pandemic, our leaders, the moral compass of our leaders, you find that the best leaders that during this COVID pandemic have a good moral compass.
Yes.
They yeah, you know, so I like how you talk about the qualities and the steps. It was very, very well done.
I appreciate it.
And so yes, as you guys can see, comment just dripping in. So thank you very much. Before I go on, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Ratchery today? Can just raise a hand and then we can allow you to unmute, or you can just message in the chat. Just full of thank yous and praises.
All right, I don't really have a question, but I just like to say thank you, Mr. Ratchi, for coming out today. I know you must have had other things to do, but we really appreciate that you came out. And thanks for sharing all those steps on the leadership. I can see how we can apply it to our lives now and how the current leaders have applied it. So I think I'll try it out. Me personally, I'm not really want to jump to leading, but with these, I think that I'll be more inclined to try leading. So once again, thank you. And if anything, we hope to see you again.
Blessings, man. Love that, love that.
Thanks, Anthony, for that. I see that we have a question here from Mr. Barrett. How does one recover from a leadership slum? Leadership slum.
Yes.
You need more clarification there, or you understand, Mr.
I'm asking like leadership slum would probably be where they feel as though their leadership have reached the altar or something of that. Could you just, if that's what you mean, could you clarify for me?
Essentially that you have been carrying yourself as a great leader, well, as a good leader before. However, at a particular point in time, you haven't been building on your qualities, or you haven't been doing much exposure of your leadership skills. How do you recover from that slum?
Yes, awesome question. All right. I think the first thing you have to understand is be honest with yourself. Be very honest with yourself. Where am I on my leadership journey? Where am I? Am I self-inflated, feeling like I'm the best leader? You have to ask yourself the questions. And when you can ask yourself questions and be honest with yourself, that is when you start to understand your situation. And in this country, for example, when I was getting becoming a youth advisor to for the youth advisor to the government of Jamaica, the Prime Minister said, young man, you have to be strategic and you have to be smart. And the Prime Minister said that because sometimes you're on a journey and you want to do everything, you want to get involved in every organization, and that don't help sometimes. I say that to you in the sense that you have to ask yourself, where am I and where do I want to go? And when you find out where you want to go, be strategic about how you're going to get there. And as I mentioned, you have to be honest with yourself. If you feel like you always say you're the best leader in high school and university is two different places. I was head boy in high school and that had no value when I came to university. Nobody cared who I was in university. So the point of the relevance is that you have to know who you want to be and where you want to go and be very strategic. I got involved with all the organizations and programs that I've joined. I was very strategic about it because I know how I could add value in that program. I know where I'd be best able to add value in those programs. So I say that to you to say this. When you recognize that you're in the slum, ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? And I keep repeating it. Ask yourself what you want to achieve and how you're going to get there. Sometimes how you want to get there might be very difficult, but you have to acknowledge and recognize a strategy that is going to get there to get you out of the slum. All right.
Okay, that's some very good advice. Because like I know a lot of people, and even myself, sometimes the pressure is created because we want to be somewhere, but we don't look at where we are. So we every day we wake up and say, oh, we don't reach that point, and that creates that level of pressure.
Yes.
So that's some very good advice. Thanks for that.
Before you move on, Anderson,
Yes.
I want to share this with you guys. Don't compare yourself with others. And I really do mean this. I'm telling you, it's the worst thing you could do. I would tell you, compare yourself to who you were yesterday. And ask yourself, where was I yesterday? If yesterday I was only reading for 5 minutes, can I read for 10 minutes today? And keep trying to compare yourself with who you were yesterday and try to be a better version than who you were yesterday. Do that every day and you'll be surprised after a year or two how much of a greater person you have become in that process.
That is so true. Growth, definitely. We have another question here from Miss Shavani Nelson. How can one gain some leadership experience? That's a good question. Is there an organization or is it something that you have to create for yourself?
As I mentioned, the law of process, it's about getting involved and going through that process. For me, I got involved in cadet. After I joined cadet, I was always involved in my classes. I got involved as form captain. It's just getting involved. Part of leadership is learning how to be a part of a team. And being a part of a team, you also learn how to deal with people. And leadership is the ability to influence people. If you can influence people, it's leadership. And so basically, you're a leader in your own right already. It's just that you want to lead in certain contexts. And there are certain laws that govern in leading in certain contexts. As I mentioned, the laws of teamwork. You have to understand how to do those things. So one thing that I did, I think you could also do, is try to read. One of the books I've recommended is the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell speaks about some qualities that if you learn these qualities, it makes your leadership journey easier. So I would say to you, there's a theory base and there's a practical base. Try to learn about some of the laws and things that help you to be a better leader. And then also try to get involved in organizations, clubs, societies, and be very strategic about what you get involved in. Is it that you're going to get involved in debate? Is it that you're going to get involved in accounting club when you have no interest or values in accounting and you want to be a public speaker? The reality is that they don't match. If you want to be a great public speaker, then join the debating society. Then start getting involved in debates and stuff like that nature. You can't join the accounting society and expect that you're going to be a great debater. It doesn't make sense. So it's about being strategic in the process. All right.
Okay, very good. All right, thanks, Mr. Arthur. All right, so we have another question from YouTube this time. Miss Suzanne James. How do you become that confident? Yeah, everywhere, man. How do you become that confident leader if you are an introvert?
Good question. All right, so first thing you have to know that nothing is wrong with being an introvert. But you have to learn that you have to sometimes put yourself in dangerous situations. I will put it that way. For example, I considered myself at a few years ago as an introvert. I wasn't going to put myself forward for no public speaking or anything of that nature. But I started to do it on a very small basis. For example, it becomes much more difficult when you try to eat an elephant by looking at the elephant. you have to try to not look at the elephant and try to get small bites, small bites. And in the essence, in terms of small bites, start to get out and interact with your friends. Join little small groups and socialize with your friends. And as you join small groups, try to speak more in those groups, try to talk and try to add value or make a point in the groups. But not only that, occasionally try to get involved in a club meeting where you actually have to present something at the club meeting. Just put yourself sometimes in situations that you put yourself forward and you have to speak. Because one of the things that you will realize is that the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And that's the thing about it. That's why the law of process is so important. You don't become extroverted, or you just become open and willing to speak and out there like that overnight. It's a process. Small bites and increments, getting yourself out there, speaking in little groups, then join at the club, speaking at the club meeting, whatever might be, do a little presentation here or there at your church, whatever might be your case. That's how you get yourself out there. It might be a little difficult, but that pressure is easier than you going on a crowd with 200 people and you need to speak, because that's way more fearful than you doing it. And with the small increments, it gets easier for you and you're able to do it over time. That's what I did, and that's how it helped me tremendously.
Definitely agree with that. It's also part of the process, as you talked about in your slides. So practice makes perfect, experience builds the character. So definitely good words. So we have another question here. I think is a question sometimes everybody kind of have, like, I experienced a bad leader, I guess. How do you break from leaders who try to hold you down? Those who see potential in you, but because you're different than them, they try to hold you back because they don't think that you belong in their group. So
yeah. Well, you first have to ask yourself, where am I? Is it that I'm a part of a club that person is the president or the leader of the organization? Sometimes we're in very difficult positions. Somebody's the president and therefore they have certain kind of influence and they can block you as a person. They can make your life more difficult, right? Especially if you're having a bad energy with that person. So the reality is that you have to ask yourself, what is my situation? If your situation is that the person is the president and that person has influence and control over the group and they're trying to block you, sometimes it might be best to take a step back from the organization. Or it might mean that in a year time, that person will be gone. And if that person is gone within a year time, it means you just need to humble yourself and keep going through the situation until that person is gone. So it means that you need to just, keep holding out, just keep strong and just know that within a year, that person will be gone and my journey will become easier. But not only that, in the process of that person making your life more difficult, try to learn something from that difficulty, right? Sometimes, as I said to you, so it's either you just hold it out and try to make things easier by learning how to deal with that person, or you can also leave that organization and become a part of something that makes you more valuable and more meaningful, or make you feel like you're making more use of your time. All right?
Definitely agree with that again, Mr. Atter, because sometimes it is a difficult position, but sometimes being in that position, you can't really leave it just as easy. You have to learn how to overcome some of these challenges presented. If it's a control boss, if it's somebody who isn't presenting opportunities to you, just have to find a way, how can I do this myself? How can I, just to navigate the situation.
Yep.
Definitely. Okay, is there any other questions? I don't. I think that's the last question. So that was a very, very good questions from everybody. Thank you very much. And for Mr. Ratcher, those are really good answers as well. Again, just want to say one final thank you, Mr. Ratcher. It was a good conversation. It was good interacting with you for the first time, hearing this. You had a lot of knowledge, and I'm sure, as you can see, all the students are very, very, very grateful to have you. And I hope you can continue, giving us advice, students, that's where to build leadership from a young age is very important.
Yes, yeah, man, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here, guys. I wish you all on your leadership journey, and feel free to reach out to me. I'm on Instagram just the same. It's everton.ratry. My name is on the screen. I would like to think so. It's my name with a dot in between it. So feel free to connect on Instagram, guys. Feel free to reach out to me if you want some advice on anything or in any way. All right, it was a pleasure to be here, and thanks again for having me. All right. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks, Mr. Rattray, and thanks everyone again for coming. Thanks, Angelit, for organizing. It shows a very good present. All right, take care, everybody. Stay safe.